Met weren't taking legal advice, but did you then decide, actually, I'm so concerned about this, I'm going to take my own, just so I'm clear there's no other avenues?
No, I didn't. For the simple reason things had moved on. In 9 days' time, I think she'd resigned.
OK, but I still think it might have been an area you'd want to. But let's just move on then. So I want to pick up a discussion that I had at the last meeting of this committee. In paragraph 70 of this report, it states, the Mayor ultimately stated that they, the Metropolitan Police and MOPAC, needed a joint plan, which his team would help the Commissioner's staff to produce, and the two teams should get together as soon as possible. And I think the minutes from that meeting reflect that. So what changed? Well,
they don't reflect that. And so let me go to the minutes rather than Sir Tom's version of events. So the minutes on page 2 firstly confirm that I said Operation Hosson would be the straw that broke the camel's back, not the conclusion reached by Sir Tom. But second to last paragraph on that minutes, by the minutes is the most accurate record of that thing at the meeting. The Commissioner said she would appreciate insight from the Mayor's team into public views and possible communication approaches. That's not a joint plan. That's assistance in relation to communications. And over the page, on the last page, third to last paragraph, the Mayor asked if the Commissioner felt accepting institutional issues was not the answer with what she was going to say. The Commissioner asked for help with a new communication strategy, something eye-catching and different, and suggesting holding a seminar to devise a new communication strategy. So it was not a joint plan, as has been suggested by either Dame Cressida-Dick, her police officers who were interviewed by Sir Tom or by Sir Tom. It was a plan from the Commissioner. The joint plan was in relation to help in relation to communications, and the Commissioner was thinking about a seminar. My point to the Commissioner was there was an urgency here in relation to her plan to address these issues, but also talking about the trust and confidence. And what I thought would happen was that we would meet again whenever we next met to discuss her plan, draft plan, whatever you want to call it, and go forward.
OK, well, that's very interesting, because when we spoke at our last meeting to Diana Lutchford, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Mayor's Office of Police and Crime, she confirmed that her recollection was that there would be a joint plan. And she then went on, I said to her that she would obviously have had to allocate officer time to that, even if it was assistance around communications of the plan and so on. And she then withdrew that because they were not helping, MOPAC were not helping the Met. And I asked her, who spoke to you? What was said to you to change the action? She said, I cannot explicitly remember. So I'm wondering, was it from you, Mr Mayor? Did you instruct the Chief Executive of MOPAC to take away the assistance, whatever level it was, to input into this plan and communications?
No.
So it wasn't you, was it your Deputy Mayor?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what.
Was it your Chief of Staff?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
The Director
because there
of
was
Operations?
no, in my mind, there was no understanding of a joint plan. The help was going to be in relation to comms, and in fact, I think the City Hall may have offered the next day some help with comms. That was the nature of any. But it's got to be the Commission's plan. Look, can you just think about it a second? I mean, the Commission not unreasonably. Wouldn't want anybody else to interfere with operational matters. So the idea was that the Commissioner would come up with a plan which we could then go forward with. She'd asked specifically for help in communications, as the minutes reflect. But my view was a seminar, a long-term plan in relation to communications, assistance on the medium to long-term on communications, wasn't going to wash.
OK, so there's a huge section in here about that plan, and you've made your view clear. In paragraph 74, it states, at the end of the meeting as a whole, the Mayor said to the Commissioner words to the effect that, quote, one or other of us is going to end up being substituted. What would a reasonable person on the street think that this meant?
Well, a reasonable person on the street would hopefully have heard the entire meeting. And I was quite clear, a seminar on communications, a long-term plan to do with these issues wasn't going to wash. It's really important for us to recognise the urgency of this. I'm up for re-election in 2024. Her contract expires in a couple of years' time, as it was from them. We can't wait for these long-term plans in relation to comms or stakeholder plan or whatever. We needed a plan now. And, the idea of support towards devising a seminar to do a new comms strategy, which could be sometime in the future, wasn't what was required.
Okay. I've got a couple of other questions. Did anyone want to come in on that?
Well, I think we should ask if Sir Tom wants to...
Sir Tom, Sir Tom, do you want to respond to what you've heard about the plan? And obviously you may have seen or heard Diana Lutchford's response to me a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I've read the plan, and it's about a lot more than just a seminar. It was a joint plan. The Mayor's recollection is imperfect.
Okay. Does anybody else want to come in at this point? Caroline isn't finished yet, but is there anything else on anything? You're coming in later anyway, or do you want to? Yes, come in later. Okay. Do you want to finish
Lovely.
yours?
Thank you very much. So, Tom, in your report, and you certainly describe in paragraph 88. The MOPAC chief exec said in conversations with the Met, she emphasised the position was grave. She herself was in a difficult position in terms of how to advise the Mayor. Do you think, and what's your view on the position and behaviour of the chief exec of MOPAC in this?
She's the chief executive and works to the Mayor. So I think she was trying hard to reflect the Mayor's objectives and priorities and wishes to the extent that she knew what they were.
Do you think she was put in a difficult, impossible position?
I think that she and the Deputy Mayor may very well have been in a difficult position, but I don't know what they knew about what the Mayor wanted. I think that in some respects, in the period between the 2nd and the 10th of February 2022, there may, and I don't know if this is the case or not, there may have been some kind of failure in communication between them and the Mayor. But only they and the Mayor know that. What they were not doing was giving the Met, Cressida Dick and others, much in the way of assistance or feedback on the joint plan, and the material feedback on the joint plan came on the 10th of February, which was the day the Mayor or the Mayor's office gave the Commissioner an ultimatum.
Do you think that the Chief Exec of MOPAC should have spoken to you much earlier in this process? Because she's effectively a civil servant. She's not one of the Mayor's top appointees like the Deputy Mayor. She's not politically appointed, as it were. Should she have spoken to you separately and earlier? As I would expect any sort of inquiry with the Chief Exec of a council, you'd expect to speak to them separately and probably ahead of the leader. Would you not have expected her to have met with you earlier?
In my first letter to the Mayor, I asked for access to him and his principal staff. But for some considerable time, those letters were either not responded to at all, or the requests for interviews were not granted. I think Diana Lutchford may very well have been eager to talk to me, but I don't know. I just don't know. All I knew was that I was getting very little back from the Mayor's office in terms of face-to-face meetings. I was receiving written material. It wasn't very extensive until the latter stages of the investigation. But the Mayor did write me a number of letters which were helpful and enabled me to arrive at my provisional findings in fact. And then when, of course, I provided the provisional findings, in fact, in writing, I got a lot more back from the Mayor. But the interview, it was 90 minutes with 3 people, whereas with Cressida Dick, it was over 5 hours with her alone, and Steve House, Helen Ball, and others. So there were significant amount more face time with the people on the Metropolitan Police side of the question than with the Mayor's office. But the Mayor said he could only provide me, initially it was only an hour, but it did go on for another half hour after that.
Lovely, thank you. Mr Mayor, I want to turn to, there's a section in this report which details what happened on the day that Cressida left her post or was put in that position. And there's a lot of description in here, sort of paragraph 140 and so on, where the Chief of Staff, in this report it states, says that if Cressida resigned at the end of her 9th of April original contract, then the Mayor would emphasise in public comments that she'd achieved much, and also started to almost negotiate the terms of her departure. How do you respond to that? Does it feel appropriate?
I mean, I did put on record, I still do, her long service to our city, 40 years public service. So I have put on record her long service. In relation to the conversations between members of my staff and Dame Cressida's staff, I wasn't aware that Dame Cressida had a senior partner from a law firm, a chief constable, a deputy chief constable, the deputy commissioner, the director of corporate affairs, all listening into these conversations. My understanding was that my chief of staff was trying to encourage Dame Cressida to come to the meeting. It was inexplicable, a commissioner not coming to a meeting. We'd in the past had differences, we'd worked them through. And she knew that the draft plan that had been sent to me, I considered a draft. It wasn't enough to address the two core issues. How do you address the issues, the terrible series of scandals? How do you win back trust and confidence? And so those are conversations taking place, as I understand it, to encourage her to come to that meeting. And that, by the way, confirms your point about resignation, that the statutory process had not been invoked. The circumstances you suggested, where a chief executive may ring up the chief inspector, or, by the way, the Home Secretary, is if it's the case that I've decided, after meeting with the Commissioner, for example, on the 10th of February, I said, look, I've met with you, I'm afraid your plan doesn't wash, you've not come up with anything else, I have lost confidence in you, so I'm now going to invoke the statutory process. That didn't happen, and in that circumstance, I'd expect the Chief Executive of MOPAC to ring up the Chief Inspector, to ring up the Home Secretary, and so forth, and the statutory process gets going. The statutory process never got going because the Commissioner didn't come to that meeting, and as you've alluded to, she decided to resign.
Do you think the Mayor's office and the Met handled communication properly during this period, or was there a breakdown in trust? Based on what you've heard, was the Commissioner's resignation inevitable, or could the situation have been resolved differently? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth political commentary, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of power and politics. Thanks for watching.